says that, if you've got 40, 50, 60, 70% turnover, you're doing pretty good in hospitality. But it's as high as 150% in some markets and with some subsets of the industry. And so you've got to start to really analyze, there's a cost associated. And that was the beginning, going back to Genesis, we were looking at it from the business perspective. Man, these businesses are losing money. And that seemed like the right path. Like if you wanted to take that startup path and, speak to that pain, right? And so we were looking at it from the operator's perspective, saying, the average restaurant is losing almost $150,000 every year per location just because of turnover and being understaffed. And half of that can be saved, can be recouped by actually getting people in there to do the job and do the job well. And because that's lost revenue. And you talked about it impacts the customer. So, I've got a friend that's in the space on the review side, how to really capture customer sentiment. He's based out in Utah. We spent some time working together out in San Francisco, but ultimately his numbers show that one bad review costs a restaurant $500, and one bad review leads to 30 lost customers. So start to quantify, all right, dollars and cents. You want to do everything you can to make sure that everyone has a good experience, right? Or at least if it's a bad experience, that you know about it in the moment and you can address it and maybe resolve it. Same thing, if you start to look at his data, it's going to show being understaffed leads to a poor experience. It takes longer to get seated, longer to get your food. Maybe the food is cold. Maybe it's not made right. There's just a myriad reasons why you might have a bad experience, but it starts with having a full staff, a full complement of experienced professionals, there on the job at that moment. And so it definitely, you quantify that. It's almost 150 billion nationwide that's lost just being understaffed. And then you look at it on the flip side, how bad this industry is being hit because of COVID, right? And they're talking about $250 billion has been lost in the U.S., over the last 9 months. And, there's talk about potentially having, some sort of tranche of, 120 billion or so injected into the industry to help save these businesses from going under. And I want to say, and I say this with full empathy, what if you had that 150 billion, right, from that you lost from being understaffed? If that was, so the impacts, right, we're seeing it right now. It's a frail industry when it's not good times. And so anyway, I can go on and on, but I will say, we talked about going after the business side of it, and the pains that they were going through. The more that we started to peel back that onion, we started to realize that the workers were really they became top priority for us because they were why were they jumping ship every 2 months? Why, with the turnover rate being so high, why was the pay so low? Why are there no benefits? We started to really understand that they're an overlooked population, and, we're talking 16, 17 million strong nationwide. So it's not a small group, and they're deemed essential now. But if you started to look at the average wage, you wouldn't know that they were essential people.